If you could pick a superpower, what would it be and why did you pick super speed? Well, dummy, because going fast is fun as fuck and it's actually pretty meta. So I have one of the best builds in the game that can carry a game even if you play passively. So if you're not that good at fighting, you can still be impactful to your team by rushing objectives and speeding up your teammates. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Gotta Go Fast. Gotta go fast. If you like to go fast in speed running, this is the build. I have carefully selected skills that complement the build to maximize speed and momentum at all times. I've been playing this build for a month and it is currently my favorite build. And with this build, you only get better with time. So why would you want to use this build? Well, pros: allows for speed running of looting and objectives. Usually the first person with Dragon Change and level 3 Dragon Change is going to be you. Allows you to play in a utility role that can boost ally speed. Exceptional at gathering Dragon Balls and keys, and is a fun and rewarding gameplay loop. The cons is that it's all in on the speed skills, so you don't have any space for fighting skills or for medic skills. Let's go ahead and talk about the skills that make this build. First off, we have Sprint. Sprint is the main framework that holds this build together. Sprint adds an extra 20% to your movement speed while grounded. Most of the game takes place while traversing in the ground, so the skill will speed up your gameplay drastically without having to do anything, just by equipping it. Next up is Movement Speed Dirt. It increases your speed in dirt, sand, and sandy paths along the grass by 15%. It stacks on top of Sprint to provide a further speed boost to our sprint speed, so we both together, that is a 35% speed buff. Dirt speed buff is better than the others, as 70% of the game is actually dirt and sand. Next up is Cook. Cook is about a 10% movement speed increase that does stack with Sprint and any of the movement speed bonuses. The Cook buffs last 2 minutes, so you have permanent uptime and have it up again before it even runs out. It's a great utility skill because you can give it to your teammates too and buff their clearing speed. Next up, landing delay nullification. This skill gives you a temporary speed boost and prevents you from having end lag when you land from a high place. The speed buff from landing delay nullification is humongous and feels around roughly like a 30%. Next is my personal favorite, wall kick. While in the air and near a wall, this move lets you kick the wall and jump in the opposite direction. The skill is crucial to help you traverse vertically at high speed, but can also, and with practice, be used to go fast horizontally. So now, not only are you fast in the ground, but you can also not be slowed down by climbing in high places. Last but absolutely not least is floating device, a major part of this build. When you use this skill, you spawn a floating device, basically a trampoline that propels you into the air. Your teammates in the Raider can also use it. Before I can show you how to play this build, I have to teach you the heart of the build, which is floating device. Floating device has some interesting properties. It obviously sends high up when you step on it. The effect of floating device is time-based rather than distance or height-based. So the effect lasts 9.5 seconds. The visual cue to know it's active is the wind streaks you see around your character, and the free fall animation is different. Using certain skills can maximize your airtime and also make you go completely horizontal. These skills are Energy Field, Solar Flare, Krillin Shoe, Go Go Gum, Bancho Fan, Flames Mount Fry Pan, and firing a rocket launcher. Now let's talk about the two techniques we will need to really supercharge this build. The main and most important I will call the float boost wall kick. This involves using wall kick while going up or down while under the effects of floating device. And when you wall kick with floating device's effect, you will go further and faster. How fast and how far you go depends on how much momentum or speed you have when you hop onto the floating device, and at that point you wall kick. So what you want to do is set up your floating device near a wall, hop on it, and wall kick as you go up. Subsequent wall kicks while you have the floating device effect will be boosted, so you can combine this and find more walls to kick on after your initial takeoff, and you can travel very far. So let me show you how much distance you will be gaining with this technique. I will start with just a regular floating device, no wall kick. This is how far you go with this. Now we will go ahead and try the float boosted wall kick. Now let's try maxing out our momentum speed before hopping into the floating device with the highest boost in the game, Langdon delay nullification. Looks pretty damn good to me. You can go even further when you use floating device underwater. You can also just stack everything and add rockets to the mix to go even beyond. The next technique we will be learning is a floating boost jump. You can only do this while you're transformed, so this is a transfer specific skill, and it will allow you to go very far, increases your escaping capabilities also. So the thing that starts this wackiness is the transfer jump. So you can see the transfer jump is very long and fast. So when you actually use the transfer jump into the floating device, you go very far. So what you actually want to do is jump into the floating device and you will get the boost jump. And the way that you actually jump with your transfer is that you got to be all the way into the ground. Otherwise you won't jump. This is also one of the best escaping methods in the game if you can master it. Now we're going to learn how to use this build properly to carry all the games that you play. The way that this build carries is by actually rushing objectives, keys, and Dragon Balls. So when you start a match, you have two options. You can either give Cook to your teammates to speed them up and speed the clearing of the first area, or you can use Floating Device to go to a different area and start clearing it on your own and potentially finding that key. Time is a very important resource in this game, so if you're denying the Raider time to get stronger before you, then you effectively won the game, or you can just have an 80+% chance at winning. So you just want to rush objectives, keys, Dragon Ball. You want to rush your Dragon Change level. That way you can pressure the Raider. This build is all about pressuring the Raider at all times by getting objectives done very quickly. You can pretty much do anything with this build. You can do every role, so you can rush objectives, but you can also be a medic because you can get to people way faster than anybody else. You can also rush the STM and start cooking it way before anybody else gets there. So just get creative with this build, but mainly take my advice, rush objectives. Get those keys in as fast as you can. Speed run them shits. The build honestly is a blast to play. It does it all well. Going fast is fun as fuck, as I said before. And it's not just fun, it's like you're getting objectives done. Stuff is getting done around the map. Even while other people are dying, you move so quick that you can take advantage of that. You can take advantage of people dying. So really, max out this build by just moving as fast as you can and getting objectives done. You gotta just think objectives. The last thing I can tell you about this build is walls and buildings are your best friends. If there's a wall or a building nearby, that means you can wall kick and take advantage of the momentum you're getting from Floating Device. And you can get your Floating Device boosted wall kicks. So take advantage every time before you're going to use Floating Device, and try and use it always near a wall so that you can boost yourself and cover more ground. That concludes our build guide. It is not a complicated build. You just rush objectives, be near walls to speed yourself up, and you'll be good. You'll get them dubs. So if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate it. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments. This is Neon Sex, and if you could support me with a subscribe, like, or follow me on Twitch, I would appreciate that. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you learned something from this video.